Howdy guys, it is Joe here today trying to tell you guys who I personally believe are going to be some of the best heroes for the Season 5 meta. Now, as far as what we've been shown so far, Season 5 is essentially going to be Season 4 with a few minor tweaks. One being that Hanzo's going to be quite a bit better, and the Soldier's going to be just a little bit worse. We want to keep that in mind. Now, Hanzo isn't actually on this list, and as well some other characters like Pharah aren't going to be on it, but they are really close, and I feel like those characters can as well carry quite well if you get used to them, and Hanzo might become even better as far as time goes on. With that said though, today I want to tell you guys at least what I think right now will be the best picks to try to learn, pick up, and carry with before the new season happens in like 10 days, which really isn't way too much time. So I'm going to be honest with a lot of you guys right now, dive comps are destroying at higher ranks. They're the thing that most people are picking up. 2 to 3 DPS, get in there, kill the enemy team. The best way to counter it is to get yourself 2 to 3 DPS and dive their dive comp. It's really kind of awkward right now. But the one character that maybe isn't perfect for dive comps that is still doing really well, and I feel like will still continue to do very well, is Soldier 76. Even with his 1 damage nerf, which does reduce, 20 damage overall, I think he's still going to be very good. Maybe slightly worse, and again, have slightly more troubles killing Mercy and killing Pharah, but really this nerf doesn't completely change the character, and I don't think that it will nearly shove him into obscurity. He can still kill these people like Winston, like Roadhog, he can still deal a lot of damage to Reinhardt barriers, and he's just really good against tanks, which some of these other characters aren't the best against, if they're by themselves, and a lot of the other characters really can't get through the shield way too fast, which this guy can, get the shield down, and then of course the rest of your team just runs in there and destroys through the enemy team. Overall, I feel like he's still going to be a really good pick, but might not be able to carry quite as much as he was able to, just by a little bit. Now, as we continue, a pick that I feel like is kind of on the balance between going to be very strong and very weak, depending on how you play them, is Roadhog. I've seen this guy being played really well, getting a lot of hooks, and single-handedly, he can really counter a lot of dive comps if the dive compers aren't playing 100% the best and diving at the exact same time, which, let's be honest, is going to happen quite often. A lot of the times, if you happen to just walk up next to the Winston and people aren't ready to dive immediately, you can just pop him in the face, and 2 pops, he's dead, and even 1 pop, he can be dead. That could really help your team a lot. As well, if you do get lucky, or you're just very good at this character, you can just hook all these very low HP diving targets right now, and kill straight through them. Now, of course, this does very much depend on how well you are at hooking, and how many of those hooks you can get. If you can't get really any hooks, he's not going to do all too great, as he's always been, but even worse than usual, because these are very small targets which your gun really can't kill. But if you do get these hooks, you're going to be winning your team a lot of team fights, and as he's been for a long time, Roadhog's still going to be a really good meta carry in this next season, and especially in solo queue, where he's always been really good. So Winston, in general, this season, during at least the last half, has been really good. Of course, he's the main person that you need for that dive comp, and if you are good at Winston, or even half decent, know when to engage, know when to get on the enemy backline, and when to be in your own front line and protect your teammates, you can single-handedly carry actually quite a few games, which is something that tanks really haven't been able to do for way too long, except for, I guess, Roadhog and tank meta, where you could kind of do that himself. I feel like as far as the nerfs and buffs that we've seen so far, Winston's still going to be really good. The 2 flankers right above him are still going to be really good. Winston works great with Sombra. Winston is actually working really well with Hanzo, and with the new Hanzo, he's going to be doing even better. And even people like Pharah, Winston can do half decent with, as, Winston can get a lot of their attention, and then Pharah can just rain justice without worrying way too much. Overall, I feel like he's a really good pick, and if you're trying to play a tank, he's definitely the best choice right now, especially because you can actually run triple DPS with 1 tank and 2 supports, and that's actually winning a lot of people some games. So for Genji, he's essentially just good because the dive comp is really good. He's always been a pretty decent character that's always done really well, and people have been able to carry with him, so I'm not going to say anything against that. But as it is right now, you can play Genji on defense, you can play Genji on offense, you can play Genji really anywhere, and actually do, pretty good. Being able to dive on the enemy backline with the Winston is essentially what makes Genji so good right now. It makes so that he can do it pretty safely, be able to get the kills a lot easier, and even if he can't get the exact one-shot burst, which is kind of hard to do with Genji, Winston can pick up the rest of it. As well, just having more damage on your team means that your burst is going to be a lot more important, because your burst plus all your other DPS bursts is going to make so that the enemies really can't heal it up fast enough to counter your own burst. I feel like overall, just the state that Genji's in right now makes him strong, and since he's always been such a good carry hero, and since none of his really main counters like McCree or like D.Va are really super highly meta right now, it makes it that he can be played without way too much trouble, and of course the amount of team wipes that I've seen with this character, it's honestly ridiculous. Tracer is just honestly the best carry hero to pick up right now. There are so many Tracers up in the top 500 and so many Tracers that are climbing up there right now. She works perfectly with the comps that we have. She counters a lot of the DPS, she counters a lot of the backline, and she can actually do decent against Winston, so she's really doing well in every single situation right now. While she is pretty easy to kill, if you can happen to master her mobility, that won't happen to you way too much, and you can essentially one-pop people with your singular clip if you can happen to know how to shoot at their neck and at their head and get half headshots, half body shots, and you can really get through people really quickly. Again, like Genji, none of her counters are really any good right now, again, that being McCree and a few other characters, so she can essentially reign free in the backline without having to worry way too much. Of course, her ultimate charges up super fast, she can combo it super well with all the other characters that are good right now, and simply being able to get in the backline with someone else like Genji, who's also better right now, it can make so that you can just get back there, kill the ball, get out safely, and win from there. I feel like she's always going to be a nice carry hero, and right now since she's very strong and really good in the meta, it's probably the perfect time to pick her up. And yeah, those are all the characters that I'm going to say are going to be the best meta carry heroes in this season right now, as far as when it comes out, and there haven't been really any big announced changes, which they do announce like 2 to 3 weeks before, so during the first few weeks of Season 5, these should probably work just as well as they're working right now, and to continue to be very good, if not get even better as people get much more used to these comps and learn how to use them and kind of just keep going from there. Now, of course, this is talking about a meta carry comp. If you want to play a lot of heroes like Reinhardt, which are still really good, and if you want to play a lot of the supports, which are still really good, you kind of have to play them, then definitely go for it. These are just talking about the heroes that should be able to carry you the most games, even though it is kind of annoying that no supports right now are really able to carry you way too much. I hope that's changed soon, but I really can't control the game. I can just tell you what's going on. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day.